Good morning. Haven't been on here in a little while, but there's been reasons for that, and one of them is I've been on the side of a mountain building a fence for a friend of ours, so I've been exhausted doing that, and just haven't gotten the camera out. Today it is frightfully cold. I know most of the country is actually as colder than we are right now, but we're about 0 degrees right now as far as there's a light wind chill. I think we're 8 degrees with a wind chill of 0. So chickens are doing just fine. I wanted to go over a couple things that might help people out. So this is our chicken Pecky. Right, we have her in here because she's the one who is either getting pecked or pecking other chickens. So we have I picked this up at a garage sale. This is just like a dog watering bowl that's heated. And so this has worked really well. We got down to about -5 last night with no issues whatsoever. There's no ice formation or anything even on the top. So that's worked very well. For the geese, I'm just getting ready to swap their water out here. They need some new bedding and some new water. Since I'm not working today, we're going to take care of some of that. But this is a small bucket warmer, and this has worked very well. This is a 5-gallon bucket here, feeder bucket, and with this guy in there, I haven't had any freezing up at all. And it's probably 55-60 degrees the water is right now, so despite it being this cold, still have no frost or no ice over top of that bucket. So that option has worked very well, and I have a couple more of these because I want to put a pond in, or at least like a large maybe like a feeder trough or something that's low, so that they can have something warm to get into but still get into a pond situation, because they need to be able to clean their feathers, the geese do. And we have a larger drop-in heater like that as well that we might be able to do for that. So the only other thing I was going to show you, we'll see if I'm allowed to, but it's the pedestal warmer. So the pedestal warmer is basically just the circular disc. It's about 16 inches across or so, and you put the water on top of that. And those work very well. I've used them for years. I just broke out the new one we have here, and I don't think the rooster's gonna let me in. Alright, the rooster will not let me show you the pedestal warmer hooked up, so I'm not gonna bother that. I still have the box. So this is the heated base. This is the HP 125, and basically it just heats this pie dish up, and you can put any warmer on it. Now I recommend, I took this one off because it needs to be cleaned, so I'm gonna fill this up and clean it and then put it back on there. But these are the best. He's being so loud. He's such a cocky rooster. These work the best because the water comes out at the bottom right next to where the water is being warmed, right, sitting on the base. Opposed to like the goose bucket I showed you. If you put the buckets on those warmers, which is what I currently have right now while I clean this, it will let the top of the water freeze up if it gets cold enough. If it's like 30 degrees, 25 degrees, it's going to be fine. But if it gets down to 0 like we had, then it is going to freeze over the top, and they're still not going to be able to get to the water. It won't be thick, it'll be easy to break, but still the chickens won't be able to probably peck through that. So you want to use one of these kind of waters on there. Could be the metal one, could be this one. This seems to be a pretty rigid product, and it's readily available at, Tractor Supply or North 40 or what have you. So we're gonna get this guy cleaned back up and then put on there. The only problem I have with these is some of the chickens like to roost on this handle, and then they, poo all over it. So that's the only negative to these waters, really, is that sometimes the chickens will like to perch up here, and that can get a little bit annoying because you have to clean it more often than you really should. So those guys are good options. And also I have a larger dog dish that is in with the chickens next to our chocolates here behind me, and those dog dishes work awesome. I mean, I've never had a water issue with any water freezing, no matter how big it is. I think there's a 2-gallon one in there right now, and there's 0 issue on that. So the last thing I wanted to point out is so I'm getting ready to go clean this bucket, right? And when you have these farm buckets opposed to maybe a legitimate just regular plastic bucket, is I can take these and slam them upside down if there is ice in them, and I can break out the ice without harming these buckets. They're very, very, very durable. So if you live in a cold climate, we're obviously in Idaho, so we get very cold at times. these are great because you're not going to be breaking your buckets and waters as fast if you have these, especially for, you know, if you got maybe goats or, you know, smaller, not cows, obviously, it's not big enough for that, but for things like goats and for chickens, geese, ducks, these buckets are great. This is the bigger one. I have two smaller ones. I have two sets of chickens that are using the smaller versions of these buckets, and I don't have electricity down to them yet. So when I go down there in the morning, I have, you know, when it's this cold, I've got this much ice on the top. Well, I can flip that bucket around, slam it on the ground as hard as I can, and it breaks the ice out, and I never harm the buckets. They're just super durable, and, you know, when you're sitting there at 6 o'clock in the morning freezing your bum off and you just want to get that job done and you don't have to worry about the brittleness of the plastic, much like you would on this, like you couldn't slam this guy around. Because even though it is pretty durable, if you slam this base, you're going to crack the side of the base, especially in, you know, sub-zero temperatures. That's going to get really brittle. So having those to at least transport water or feeding livestock that you can't get heat to, those are great. Getting breeds that match the climate you're in is really important. Sometimes people just get on these poultry websites and maybe they'll get out of Georgia or out of Missouri or something like that, and then they think a bird is pretty, so they'll just get it. Well, if you're in Minnesota and you're getting a bird that doesn't handle, you know, sub 20 degree temperature very well, you're making a huge mistake, and it's going to really affect their laying, and it's also going to affect their health. And you're going to have to spend money doing things like heat lamps and excessive amount of insulation on a coop. Whereas these guys, we refuse to use heat lamps because we want them to adapt. Now, if we had some crazy polar vortex and it was negative 30 degrees, I would supplement some heat, because that's just, you know, that's just dangerous situation, and those aren't going to last for a long period of time. So if there was a few days that really got crazy cold, I would do that just to make sure that they're okay. But generally, if it's 0 degrees, -5, -10, these ladies adapt very well, and that goes for most of our chickens that we have here on the property. So I know he wants to say hi. He's not camera shy. What's up, buddy? And as soon as this weather warms up a little bit above freezing, we're supposed to be like 40-ish next week, give me an opportunity to run down to the mill and get some more wood chips and pile in some more stuff on this, because it's getting kind of hard pan in this pen. But we've got tons of bedding in the coops. That's another thing. When it's cold, pile up the bedding. So I've got at least 12 inches, sometimes 18 in these pens right now as they sit. And that just, that helps insulate and produce a little bit of heat for the girls. And if they have to stay inside because it's so cold or it's wet or snowing a lot, it gives them something to do, right? Scratching around at the base. That's why I do not go with wood floors on the bottom of my coops. I do dirt, you know, wire mesh down at the very bottom just to make sure nothing can burrow in. But keep the deep bedding and just keep it natural dirt underneath, because then you're not dealing with wood rot down the line. I know a lot of people, you can't do that really if you have an elevated coop that's off the ground. There's other solutions for that. But for us, we like the coop, having the floor just dirt, and then putting down the protectors so no predators can get in, and then piling high the you know, the straw or pine shavings, which we prefer, or whether you want to throw mulch in there, whatever carbon you want to throw in there, you can, and that really helps during the winter time as well. Yeah. some foodies for you. Bananas. Alright, let's see. They refuse to use their box here. Got some good eggs. Oh. Going to town on your compost. Alright, let's see what you got here. Oh, good job, ladies. 7 from you. Oh, those are already getting cold. Glad I got out here when I did. There's some digging over here. This guy's covered up your whole feeder. You got a fruity chicken. Hey, honey. You're sitting on the eggs. I gotta get those. Thank you for keeping them warm. There's one of these. Is that it? Okay. These two here, letting her. These came from the chocolates, so they might be fertilized. And we're just letting her sit on those. Lay any other eggs? I don't see any. Alright, ladies. Good night. Cold doesn't bother them one bit. Alright, the ladies did pretty good today for a 0-degree day. So we got 2.5 dozen out of our chickens. So that's a little more than 1 egg for every 2 chickens. So pretty happy with that. Here is my wife's attempt at growing Lysianthus flowers. I think I'm pronouncing that right. So they're just starting. You can see a couple down there. Got one here. Down in here they're starting to come up quite a bit now. We struggled for a long time to get these going. I know in this light it's really hard to see the green plant. But using this LumaGrow Pro 325, it's a decent light. It's a little outdated now, but we had it purchased already, so seems to be doing the trick. So we'll update you when these start getting a little bigger on how successful this was. So since we last posted, this is one of our projects we've been working on. I got these stairs moved from here, or from here rather. This is where they did go up into the middle of the living room over to here, so now they piggyback on the existing staircase that comes down from bedroom loft area up there. So this obviously makes a lot more sense because those stairs went straight up into the middle of the living room. So it took this big square footage amount out of your living room and made that area feel a lot less open and obviously a lot less floor space as well. So, you know, it's all roughed in. The place is a mess. That's kind of what we're living in right now. We just do the projects as we have time. But as soon as I cap off these ends, got some more electrical wire to move and to finish. Light switches, need to rerun a bunch of the old electrical, some of which is no longer functioning anymore because I moved an outlet or moved a light. So we got a lot of that to clean up, and then we'll put up the drywall and make it all look pretty. So a lot of work goes in before you can, you know, start putting on the lipstick. But definite improvement for just the overall flow of the house. Well, it's going to be well below freezing tonight with the wind chill, so just getting the wood stove all stocked up. And another cool thing that happened was my son won a raffle from Big Sky Roost out in Montana, so shout out to them. It's super cool. They came and met us and delivered us 12 fertilized eggs, and they're just now starting to hatch in the incubator. So we'll definitely do a video with that and update you on those little chickies and see how many of them actually come through and hatch. Also, what came today, super exciting, is our Polyface Designs book. Most of you probably know who Joel Salatin is. He's just the largest wealth of knowledge of any single individual or entity that I know of. So we're very excited to get this book. It's got basically all his designs and things that he's done throughout the year to help you progress faster. You know, you've got the instructions here. You've got all of the explanations for basically everything you could possibly want to know on your homestead or farm. And so just a great resource to have there at home. And the foreword's also done by Justin Rhodes, which I'm sure many of you also know. Justin and his wife Rebecca are just awesome. They came on the Great American Farm Tour and actually were in our restaurant we had at the time. And so we got a chance to kind of talk to them, take some photos and do stuff, and they're just awesome people. So with that, I think it's a wrap for the night, and we will send out the video of the new chicks as soon as we got that footage and they're done hatching. Have a good evening.